Hi, I'm Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, I'm going to ask you to maybe subscribe to our channel so this way the next time we put out some content, you will be notified immediately. And today we are going to talk about 5 resume hacks that will allow you to generate more 6-figure job interviews. This is, to me, so crucial to know because it really sometimes is just a matter of a few minor tweaks, repositioning of your information, tweaks to the layout, repositioning of the information that really start to generate the interviews for you. So I want to give you 5 resume hacks that if you implement, you will start having some more attention to your resume. And I'm also going to give you a link to a training session to learn more after the sessions. The first resume hack that I find that works amazingly when people do this is you need to put a job title at the top of your resume. Underneath your name and your contact information, put a job title. Put the job title of the position that you are seeking. If you're doing a career change or if it's a really, a several level up type promotion where it may not be clear based on your current role what type of job, you're looking for. You can even put so instead of the title, say CFO or director of marketing, you can put target position, CFO, or target position, director of marketing, and clearly spell out CFO. So you can put that extra little clarifier when you put target position, director of marketing or staff accountant, whatever it is that you're targeting. But make it crystal clear to the reader what job you are looking for. Don't leave it to them to guess. Because whether it's your connection that you've emailed your resume to, whether it's an HR person reviewing it from an applicant tracking system, whether it's a networking contact that you've emailed your resume to and they said, hey, send over my resume, send over your resume, even if there isn't an opening. You want to make sure that you're making it crystal clear for them what type of role that you are looking for. Do not leave it to the reader of any type to guess, because I'm telling you, they typically won't take the time to figure out where you fit in their organization. They want to know that you're coming to them wanting what you want. So you need to make it crystal clear in a job title. And the second hack is underneath that title, include, a 2 or 3 line summary and a core competency section. And those two combined in that top third of your resume will help reinforce to the reader visually what you are looking for and how you're qualified. And secondly, it will also help with keyword optimization. You hear that phrase, thrown around with resumes, with LinkedIn profiles, with all sorts of things. And, in order to meet some of the requirements of an applicant tracking system, or otherwise called ATS, you need to have keywords for that system to be able to pick up on. Bring your resume up to the surface when a recruiter or an HR person does a search in their applicant tracking system. But the other purpose of having keywords in that core competency section, have 2 columns with the noun-based topical items that can serve for that keyword optimization, or the second piece, a visual confirmation to the reader that you have the skills and experiences that they want in this next hire. So they're going to be more incentivized to bring you in for an interview because you, in the top third of the page, between a job title, a 2-3 line summary that outlines how you're qualified, and these core competency columns of skills and topical items that meet not only the keywords for a system, but for what the visual eye of that reader needs to see. That's hack number 2. Hack number 3, use a lot of white space in between these various sections. Don't cram everything in, use super small fonts, it's really not about that. I mean, I can tell you that I was a recruiter for 13 years prior to opening Chameleon. When I saw a resume that was just so visually dense, it literally it seemed like a visual, assault in some level. I just didn't want to read it. It was hard to sometimes make it through the dense paragraphs, the tiny fonts. And, now that I'm older, over 40, it's harder to read that tiny font. So I can tell you that there are a lot of recruiters that are over 40 and they can't read that tiny font. So you need to make it, visually appealing. You need to use white space between your job title, between your summary paragraph, that's 2-3 lines, the core competency section, and then beginning the employment section and eventually to the education section. And in between each employment section, use some white space in between each job that you've had. White space allows the eye to move through the document more readily. And the more you can increase the odds of a reader continuing to read your resume, the more likely they're going to probably reach out to you for that interview, which is really the goal. So you want to make sure you use white space, because white space helps you keep their attention in like that 6 to 15 second increment that you always hear in different studies, Harvard Business Review, other studies that say that recruiters only spend 6 seconds or 15 seconds with a resume. It's not so much that they're only spending 6 to 15 seconds with a resume in its entirety. They really have an attention span that moves through that document in 6 second increments, roughly 6 to 15 second increments, depending on the study that you read. So you need to motivate the reader with white space, with keywords and content that's going to keep them motivated to keep reading. And then that obviously increases the chances of them calling you for an interview. So, and then the fourth hack, which is kind of in line with what we just talked about, don't use super tiny font. Use font that is clean and easy to read and of a size that no matter what the age of the recruiter, that they're going to be able to visually move through the document. So some fonts that I suggest are, one of my favorites is Calibri, also like Arial and Arial Narrow. And, I don't usually use those with less than an 11th size font. And I typically like the sans serif fonts for progressive type roles or more contemporary type industries. And then if you're in an industry that's a little bit more conservative, or you yourself have more of a conservative or traditional personality, and it's suitable for what you're going for, I also like Cambria, some of the serif fonts. And, even that one I wouldn't do less than 11 in most cases. You want to make sure that you're using an appropriate font size to make it easy to read, and an appropriate font type of job that you're going for, an industry that you're pursuing, to make sure that from a branding perspective, that you look like you're in alignment, and then obviously that most importantly that it's just easy to read. And then the fifth hack is when you are writing the employment sections of your resume, I want you to use achievement. So many times I see job seekers at all levels, when they're describing their work experience, it's very task-based. And I don't know how well they did that task. You don't want your resume to look like a job description that lists a bunch of tasks with your name on top. That's what you don't want. So for every task that you have listed on your resume, every task bullet under an employment section, I want you to ask yourself, how do you know you did a good job? And what did that good job look like? Where did you make money, save money, streamline a process, maybe contribute to a company culture. Maybe you led a committee of some sort that was a quality of life committee or something to that effect. Where did you mitigate risk? So, based on those types of questions, look at the tasks that you do. And then for each bullet that's a task, ask yourself, how well did you do it? And in that answer and in those other questions, those probing questions that I gave you, therein lies the answer to how well you did that job. So write your bullets for your employment sections as achievements, not as tasks, because you need to demonstrate to the reader how well you do your job, because that's basically the pattern they're looking for. Because if they hire you, they want to know that you're going to do those types of achievements for them, and that you're going to be driven to do achievements for them, even if it's tasks that you've never done before. You just have an achievement-driven mentality, so you'll always tackle and achieve whatever it was put forth before you. So that's number 5. So those are the 5 resume hacks, and I have some more information that will help you design a resume that will land 6-figure job interviews. If you want to join me on my next training session, you go down below there in the description section, you will see the link for my next training session, how to design a resume to land 6-figure job interviews. And I will expand upon each of these points, plus give you a lot more. It's going to make sure that your resume is ready to sing. So again, Lisa Rangel, Chameleon Resumes, and I thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.